Welcome to Iraqi Dinar News, where you receive real and authentic updates about the Iraqi dinar. If you want to stay informed with moment-by-moment developments, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Today we are taking a close look at a discussion that has generated considerable attention among followers of Iraq's financial reforms. The latest commentary highlights several developments that supporters believe represent meaningful progress in Iraq's long-term economic transformation. Rather than focusing on speculation or unrealistic expectations, we will examine these developments through the lens of economic policy, institutional reform, and their potential implications for the Iraqi dinar and the broader Iraqi economy. The statement begins with a message directed toward those who have questioned whether Iraq's reform process was ever moving forward. It argues that many observers expected rapid results, while the reality is that rebuilding an economy affected by decades of conflict, sanctions, political instability, and structural inefficiencies requires years of coordinated institutional change. This comparison between expecting a lottery ticket and performing structural surgery is an important distinction because it reflects the difference between short-term speculation and long-term economic reform. When economists evaluate a country's currency, they rarely focus on a single announcement or one isolated event. Instead, they examine the strength of institutions, fiscal discipline, monetary policy, transparency, political stability, investment confidence, banking reforms, and international partnerships. Iraq has been attempting to strengthen each of these areas over several years, although progress has often been uneven and slower than many investors hoped. One of the major points raised in the discussion concerns the role of Starlink connectivity. While internet connectivity may initially appear unrelated to a nation's currency, digital infrastructure increasingly plays a critical role in modern economic governance. Improved communications allow government agencies, businesses, financial institutions, and remote industrial operations to exchange information securely and efficiently. For Iraq, whose oil sector stretches across vast geographic areas, reliable communications can improve monitoring of production, logistics, maintenance, and financial reporting. Enhanced connectivity may reduce delays in transmitting operational data, while allowing government oversight agencies to receive information more quickly. The argument presented suggests that improved communications could make it more difficult for financial transactions to remain hidden within remote operations. Although technology alone cannot eliminate corruption, stronger digital infrastructure can support transparency initiatives when combined with effective governance, auditing systems, and legal enforcement. Transparency remains one of the most significant priorities identified by international financial institutions working with Iraq. Over the past several years, Iraq has implemented numerous electronic payment initiatives, digital banking projects, and reforms designed to reduce cash dependency and improve financial reporting. Digital transformation also supports tax collection, customs administration, payroll verification, and government procurement. Each of these areas contributes to reducing opportunities for fraud while improving fiscal management. Another important point mentioned involves anti-money laundering enforcement. Strong anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing standards are essential for any country seeking deeper integration into the international financial system. Financial institutions around the world must demonstrate compliance with internationally recognized standards before expanding correspondent banking relationships or facilitating larger volumes of cross-border transactions. For Iraq, strengthening anti-money laundering enforcement supports confidence among foreign banks, multinational companies, and institutional investors. Better compliance reduces financial risk and helps protect the integrity of the banking sector. When regulators actively monitor suspicious transactions, improve reporting requirements, and strengthen enforcement mechanisms. They create an environment that encourages legitimate investment while discouraging illicit financial activity. The reference to an AML governor enforcing these standards should therefore be viewed within the broader framework of institutional governance, rather than as an isolated event capable of immediately transforming the value of the Iraqi dinar. Strong regulatory oversight is only one component of a much larger reform agenda that includes banking modernization, judicial reform, financial supervision, and international cooperation. The discussion also references the hydrocarbon law, commonly known as the HCL. This legislation has been debated for many years because it addresses one of Iraq's most important economic questions: how oil revenues are managed and distributed among the federal government, regional authorities, and producing provinces. Oil remains the dominant source of government revenue in Iraq. As a result, creating a predictable legal framework governing production, revenue sharing, and investment can contribute to fiscal stability. A stable revenue system helps governments prepare budgets more accurately, finance public services, invest in infrastructure, and maintain macroeconomic stability. However, it is important to recognize that discussions surrounding the hydrocarbon law have continued for many years, and implementation depends upon political agreement among multiple stakeholders. For this reason, observers should distinguish between ongoing negotiations, legislative proposals, and fully enacted reforms. Should Iraq eventually establish a comprehensive and durable hydrocarbon revenue framework accepted by all major parties, it could strengthen investor confidence by reducing uncertainty surrounding one of the country's largest economic sectors. Another point attracting considerable attention concerns gold and its role as a monetary anchor. Around the world, many central banks have increased gold purchases over recent years as part of reserve diversification strategies. Gold serves as one component of international reserves, alongside foreign currencies and other reserve assets. Increasing gold reserves may strengthen confidence in a central bank's balance sheet by diversifying reserve holdings. However, holding additional gold does not automatically change the exchange rate of a nation's currency. Exchange rates depend upon a wide range of macroeconomic variables, including inflation, productivity, fiscal policy, monetary policy, foreign reserves, trade balances, and investor confidence. Gold can therefore contribute to reserve management, but it should not be viewed as a single factor capable of determining future currency values. The broader message is that financial stability depends upon multiple reinforcing pillars, rather than one isolated policy. The commentary also references growing international support through diplomatic engagement with Washington. International partnerships matter because economic reform often requires cooperation among governments, international financial institutions, private investors, and development organizations. Constructive diplomatic relationships may facilitate technical assistance, investment opportunities, security cooperation, and financial collaboration. International confidence can encourage multinational corporations to evaluate investment opportunities while supporting broader economic integration. However, diplomatic engagement should not be interpreted as a guarantee of immediate monetary changes. International support typically reinforces existing domestic reform efforts rather than replacing them. Ultimately, sustainable economic development depends upon reforms implemented within Iraq itself. One of the most significant themes throughout this discussion is institutional credibility. Markets tend to reward countries that consistently improve governance, strengthen legal systems, modernize financial institutions, and demonstrate policy continuity. Investors often pay close attention to whether reforms survive changes in political leadership. Stable institutions generally inspire greater confidence than policies dependent upon individual personalities. Over time, predictable governance reduces uncertainty, allowing businesses to make longer-term investment decisions. For Iraqi Dinar followers, this distinction is particularly important. Currency movements rarely result from headlines alone. Instead, they reflect accumulated confidence built over years through fiscal discipline, banking reforms, reserve management, economic diversification, and political stability. This explains why many economists emphasize patience when evaluating structural reform programs. Short-term expectations frequently focus on dramatic announcements, while long-term economic progress often occurs through hundreds of incremental improvements that receive far less public attention. Banking modernization remains another important factor supporting Iraq's broader reform agenda. Digital payments, electronic transfers, improved compliance systems, and expanded financial inclusion all contribute to a stronger financial sector. A modern banking system facilitates business investment by allowing companies to access financing, process payments efficiently, and participate more effectively in international commerce. Financial inclusion also enables more citizens to participate in formal banking, reducing reliance on cash transactions, while improving transparencies throughout the economy. These developments complement anti-money laundering efforts by creating better documentation and reporting across financial institutions. For foreign investors evaluating Iraq, modern banking infrastructure reduces operational risks while supporting commercial activity. The oil sector remains central to Iraq's economy, but policymakers have repeatedly emphasized the importance of diversification. Developing manufacturing, agriculture, tourism, logistics, telecommunications, renewable energy, and private enterprise reduces dependence upon oil revenues alone. Economic diversification strengthens resilience during periods of oil price volatility. Countries heavily dependent upon commodity exports often experience significant revenue fluctuations when global prices change. By expanding additional sectors, governments create broader tax bases, generate employment opportunities, and reduce vulnerability to external shocks. Diversification therefore contributes indirectly to currency stability by improving the overall strength of the economy. Fiscal discipline represents another cornerstone of sustainable monetary stability. Governments maintaining responsible budgets, managing debt prudently, and investing strategically generally create stronger foundations for long-term growth. When public finances remain sustainable, central banks can conduct monetary policy more effectively without excessive pressure to finance government deficits. This relationship between fiscal policy and monetary policy is fundamental to understanding exchange rate stability. Another area deserving attention is investor psychology. Markets respond not only to economic data, but also to expectations regarding future policy consistency. If businesses believe reforms will continue over many years, they may increase investment commitments.